Everything you need to know to go on your next driving adventure. And, different people have different perspectives on road trips. Some love it, some hate it. I think those that hate it didn't know these tips. And so by the end of this video, if you're planning a long road trip, you're going to be prepared for the next one you're planning or for the one that you are prepared to plan in the future. And who am I to tell you about road trips, since you see Osa Girl and I and the princess often traveling to far off places by airplane. We do lots of road trips too. We enjoy road trips where we go. We recently spent a week road tripping around Japan. I've done a couple of cross-country trips between the west coast of the USA to the east coast of the USA. So when we're talking about long, I mean long in duration, as in like long per day, and long in time length that you might be actually taking that particular road trip. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the first tip that I have for you. And Chris, how many tips do you have for us today? 28 tips today to survive your next long road trip. So the first tip for surviving a long road trip is to set a daily driving limit. And by that, you can set it in miles or kilometers or in time. I usually like to set it in time. For me, it's no more than 5 to 6 hours of good highway driving. When I say highway driving, I mean easy driving on big straight roads. If you're going to be driving on a lot of mountain roads, you're going to want to drive for less. And now you might be thinking, well, Chris, I got a lot more hours in the day than 5. I can drive so much more. The purpose of a road trip is to enjoy the journey just as much the destination. And if all you're doing is sitting in your car all day, not really that enjoyable. So the way you enjoy the stops along the way is not by driving too much in any given day. Now, if I'm the exception to this rule is if the purpose of the trip really it's just to drive and not for the journey. Like when I was driving cross country, it was sort of for the trip, but it was also because I was moving to the East Coast for a little while. In that case, I was doing about 8 hours of driving a day, and for me, that was even pushing it because you've got time zones sometimes. Like you might go someplace and you lose 2 hours, and all of a sudden you don't have that many hours in your drive between eating, bathroom breaks. It's surprising how quick that time goes. And Brandon points out this is not the 24 hours of Le Mans, so take it easy. I think that's a great tip. I also think it's really important to also think about truck drivers. In the U.S., the U.S. Department of Transportation says truck drivers may only drive 11 hours per day, and that's someone who's just driving and doing nothing else, and they're doing it for a living. So set your limit, and you will all like it better, the driver and everybody else in the car. The second thing you should do to survive your next long road trip is to plan ahead. The best road trips are the ones that are well planned. If you plan yourself into a death march, it is going to feel like a death march. And I know that sometimes the lure of a road trip is the freedom of the open road, but too much freedom can have you spending your night in the car or in a Walmart parking lot because you found out that hotels are too expensive or all of the campgrounds are full or booked. And so the things I think you need to plan for a successful road trip, you need to plan where you're going to sleep for the night. Yes, you need to plan for sleep. Driving is actually more tiring than people think it is, particularly when you're doing it for a long time, and you don't want to be that person who's sleepy behind the wheel. Yes, you can do a road trip with a new hotel every night, but if you're going to be doing a long road trip for like multiple weeks, sometimes that gets really tiring, and so I would suggest every once in a while to break it up and do 2 nights in a hotel so that you've actually kind of got a base and maybe you have a day without a lot of driving that you break it up. It's also really important to plan general areas where you're going to eat because when you're out in the country someplace, you might not find a lot of restaurants, or you might pass that McDonald's and then it's 6 hours between there and the next McDonald's. It's also it's important to plan to visit cities and stops when things are open. In particular, like in the USA, you will want to avoid small towns on Sundays and often Mondays too when everything is closed. Many small businesses just have kind of like one shift of people working and they need a couple days off. And so what days do they take off? Typically Sunday and Monday. Use Google Maps to, whether on your phone or on your computer, to plan your route so you can estimate the driving time. And then you should add like 20% more to the driving time just in case there's traffic or detours. I think some things you want to do when you think about what times you drive, you want to avoid driving in rush hour traffic. You want to avoid windy roads if possible because they're more exhausting. And when you use Google Maps, here's the pitfall that a lot of people make. They use Google Maps at like 10 o'clock at night when they're in their hotel room to plan their drive the next day, and it says it's going to take an hour to get someplace. And then they leave at 8 in the morning at rush hour, and it takes 2 hours. And so Google Maps actually has a neat feature called Depart At or Arrive By. And so you can say, well, if I'm departing at 8 a.m., what does the typical traffic patterns look like then? Or what if I want to arrive by noon? What time, like how long would it take and what time do I need to leave by? So those are two handy features to use in Google Maps. And my last tip for planning is to plan not to drive for long periods at night. I know there are some people who love driving at night because there's no traffic, the roads are open, but you know what's around at night? Drunk drivers. There's a lot of drunk drivers around at night, and as someone who's gotten into an accident with a drunk driver before, it's better for you to be off the roads when the drunks are out on them. If you do have to drive at night, particularly if you're driving late at night, don't drive in the fast lane. In the US, that would be the leftmost lane. The reason why is if there's a drunk driver or someone who's on drugs and they're coming the wrong way on the freeway, they're likely going to be driving in what they'd consider the slow lane, which is for them all the way to the right. But if you're going the correct direction, your fast lane is all the way to the left. And so the best place for you to be driving if you're driving late at night is much more in the middle of the road. And Michael points out that in addition, you should use the Maps app to download the routes before your trip, particularly when there's dead zones. And I couldn't agree more. We're going to talk more about maps in just a minute. Tip number 3 to survive your next long trip is to not over-plan. So we talked about planning being important, but you don't want to plan too much. You don't want to plan things down to the minute, the 5 minute, the 15 minute. You definitely want to leave some freedom in your day, leave some free time so that you can stay flexible. One, because driving is much less stressful if you're not rushed. Traffic and detours do happen. You should plan the must-do stops. Like I've been looking forward to seeing Minnesota's largest ball of twine, and so we definitely have to stop there. But you should leave time available for if you just see something interesting off the side of the road to go ahead and stop there. That is part of the fun. So if you see like a giant statue of a dinosaur outside of Palm Springs, leave yourself some time so you can go spend 30 minutes over at the world's largest dinosaur statues. What I like to do, again, I like to use Google Maps, and I like to use the feature where you can drop markers on the map. You can drop like flags, and you can drop like stars, and you can pick different symbols for the ones that are must-dos and the ones that you want to do or maybe do. And so that way when you're in a certain place, you can pull it up and be like, okay, I said I need to do this, and if I've got time, I can do this, this, and this, and maybe I said I really want to eat at this restaurant and this one. But just go ahead and putting those all on the map so you can see where you are and you can see those things is a pretty neat way to do it. Points Traveler says, but Chris, you're a super planner. I don't know that I'd consider myself a super planner. I mean, there are some people that I've seen their spreadsheets like down to the 5 minutes on their trips, and that is definitely not me. John asks if you can use the toilet in a bottle to save time. John, you can probably do that Me, I'm gonna actually probably look for a toilet to use the restroom, but that's just me. Cottage Full of Love says her tip is to tell the group that she's with that we need to leave earlier than they do because people are never ready to leave on time. Yeah, if you know the people you're with never leave on time, and if you're planning to leave at 8, you need to tell them 7:30. You know what? That's the social engineering of your group to actually get people herded and out the door. Tip number 4 is you should choose the correct vehicle. You can choose your vehicle, or you might decide you want to rent a vehicle. And so how do you make that decision? Well, obviously, if you're taking a plane someplace, you're going to rent a car, and then you need to pick what kind of car to rent. But, you should look at things like, are you going to be going someplace where you need to hide your stuff? Like, do you need something with a trunk, or do you need something that's enclosed? Do you need 4-wheel drive because you're going off-road? Do you need something that has winter tires? You can put snow chains on because you're going to the snow. How many passengers? Do you have more than 4 passengers? If you have 5, the middle seat is never comfortable for long road trips. And so in that case, you should look for something that has 3 rows of seats rather than 2 rows of seats. And legroom, which maybe not as important for you going around town, can be really important for those people in back who are there for 5 or 6 hours. And I think related to trunks, it's also important to consider how well the vehicle you're selecting hides your stuff, because you definitely don't want to have your car be a theft magnet if it's packed to the gills with suitcases that just says, break my windows and rob me. And if you are planning to rent a car, then you can watch my video all about renting a car in the USA. I've got one about renting a car in Portugal, renting a car in Japan, particularly for different countries, because there's different things you need to know in different places. If you are planning to take turns renting and driving a car, then make sure you've factored in the authorized driver fee, and that you've told the rental car company that somebody else is going to be driving it, because if then you're in an accident, you've got insurance through them, all that stuff, they need to know all of the people who are going to be driving the vehicle. Points Traveler says, related to types of vehicles, would I recommend renting a Tesla for a road trip? Certainly, if you're going to be going places that have Tesla chargers, go for it. Get your Tesla for the road trip. Great if you're in some very populated corridor. If you're not, and you're going to be going to the middle of nowhere, and you need to just plug into like regular power, and you can't plug into a Tesla supercharger, not going to be that useful. You're going to be spending a lot of time charging it rather than being able to just go ahead and drive around. And so Brandon says, he thinks gas-powered cars are the better choice. I think today they are. Hilton just announced they're going to be rolling out like a whole bunch of chargers in their hotels, but I think right now, gas is going to be your better one, unless you get a super good deal on a Tesla. Okay, so let's talk about hotels. The 5th thing to help you survive your long road trip is your choice of lodging or where you stay. And so whether it's a hotel or an Airbnb or a campgrounds, I recommend that you always book your lodging ahead if you can. Don't just show up and ask if there's rooms available or what the rates are. Book online, even if it's 10 minutes ahead. You totally can go to a hotel's website and book the hotel 10 minutes before and turn up at the front desk and say, I'm here to check in, Chris Rainey. And they'll be like, sure enough, you are. Just like a guest that booked 6 months ago. It's no different to those people at the front desk. Some things I think really important to consider for your choice of lodging. One is the parking situation. What's it like? If you're going to be arriving late at night, departing early in the morning, close parking, like at this Best Western motel, it's really great. You can park right in front of your room. And motels might be shady, but if you got a lot of stuff in your car, being able to go from the car 10 feet into your room can be pretty nice. If it's someplace, when I do long road trips, I generally like to stay at hotels that are a little bit more out of city centers. Because when you end up with city center hotels, you end up with valet parking, or you end up with parking that's like not connected to the hotel. We were staying at this one hotel in Japan in Nagasaki that when we rolled up to the hotel, we're like, where's the where do we park? And they're like, yeah, the garage is, it's down that street, but it's 4 blocks away. 4 blocks away? That's where your parking garage or the hotel is? That's where the parking garage is. So ever since that experience, I spend a lot more time really researching what the parking situation is, on-site, off-site, valet, and even if it's valet, is it quick or is it slow? You know, there's some valets that like valet park the cars like right in front of the hotel or right underneath the hotel, and then there's also valets that park the car like some 18 blocks away. I really also, if I'm doing road trips, because I like to keep stuff like in my car. On road trips, I generally don't bring everything into the hotel, and we're going to talk through that in packing. I generally don't like to valet park my car because I don't want to give somebody my keys that then has more stuff in my car because I'm not bringing it all in. Mousy Me gives a point too that in this day and age, you also need to pay attention to parking fees for sure. That's, you know, another one of those scams. Hotels make more money by charging you exorbitant rates for parking. And so if you stay more out of the city center, which if you're doing a road trip, just fine, probably because you got a car, stay a little further out and the parking tends to be free. Great tip. Okay. So, I have 2 more tips about hotels before I go on to that one. I think you should also consider breakfast in the hotel. I've been surprised as of late on the road trips we've been doing how many hotels don't provide breakfast. Not even as an option. They're like hotels that just don't have food anymore. And so, like, take a look at that. You know, don't like wait to get to the hotel to figure out that there's nothing for breakfast. Either look and say, I know this hotel has breakfast, free breakfast, good breakfast, pay breakfast, or if they don't, then you plan to bring something with you because you know they have a fridge in the room or a microwave in the room or something to eat. Trying to find like a breakfast place, particularly in small rural areas, isn't often that straightforward. We were in one small town and we wanted to have breakfast at 6 in the morning and like nothing was open until 7. Yeah, those are just things you need to pay attention to. I also like to book all of my hotels, not 10 minutes before. Me personally, I like to book all my hotels before I depart. So on any road trip, you know, I've mapped out the drive this long to this next city, book this hotel, and I've got all my hotels booked before I go. That way I know I've got places to sleep, and I know that I'm not going to pay an arm and a leg for them. Some of the stories I've heard from people in Vegas that have like, Chris, I spent $500 to stay at the Excalibur Hotel, are people who they didn't book in advance. They just, Vegas, there's always rooms available, except they ended up being there when the Raiders were playing or something like that. And, like, everything was expensive. And so, like, if you find that out on a road trip, you might, like, route around that destination and, you know, decide to stay someplace that's a little bit cheaper. All right. Tip number 6 to survive your next long road trip is to get some roadside assistance and insurance. And I covered insurance in my rental car video for rental cars in the USA, so I'm not going to really like dive into that here. But I will say that roadside assistance can be invaluable. If you break down like this car that's smoking here in the background, and you're out by Death Valley, which is where this picture was taken on the Interstate 15 around Baker. If you've done this drive, that's the town kind of like halfway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas that has a giant thermometer off the side of the highway. It's helpful to be able to call up somebody and be like, my car broke. Can you come tow me, or can you help come fix me? In the USA, the like kind of primary provider of that is often AAA, the American Automobile Association. But some premium credit cards will have that as well if you're renting a car and you paid with that premium card, like the Chase Sapphire Reserve. And when you're on your road trip, actually have the phone number handy. For me, I always carry my AAA card. I rarely use it, but it doesn't really work all that well if I don't know how to call them. And for me, what have I used AAA for? Generally, my battery dies. Dead battery in the car, need to get it jump started or replace the battery. AAA did that for me just a couple weeks ago. Come, bring a new battery. 20 minutes later, somebody's at my car with a new battery. Pretty nice. Let's see. Justin says he likes stopping in big cities because he likes to stay in an airport hotel because they usually have free parking and good transport options to downtown. That's a great tip as well, Justin. Airport hotels often are a little bit on the cheaper side as compared to the city center hotels. So good tip. Okay. Also, if you are, for me in my own car, I carry a tire inflator in my car. That's like powered by the cigarette lighter, because what's one of the biggest things that can happen to you is you get a flat tire. And a lot of the times when you get a flat tire, it's something like a nail in your tire that's like a slow leak where the air slowly leaks out. And so if you can just kind of fill it back up and get yourself another 10 more miles, that can really help a lot. And so I always carry this just like, powered from the car tire inflator. And I forgot to talk about what I was drinking today. Today I am drinking some tea from the Taiwan Professional Tea. This is a Taiwan tea. Pretty good. Okay. The 7th tip to survive your next long road trip. This is about maps that we touched on a little bit earlier, which is, first of all, don't just rely on paper maps anymore. I don't know that I have to tell that to anybody here in this audience, but the 21st century is called, and digital maps are amazing. But you shouldn't always assume that you're going to have cell phone service. Google Maps is great when you're connected to the internet or when you've downloaded offline maps. Pretty much any mapping app that you can get on your phone, you can download the maps or routes offline. You should definitely do that for all the places that you're going. If I'm going to be spending a lot of time off-grid, it's nice to also have GPS in a car as a backup for it. Whenever we go to Japan, we always have the car-based GPS running and the Google Maps GPS running. Why? Because the car-based one, particularly like locales, will generally do better about routing in Japan. Google Maps in Japan will have a tendency to route you down really narrow streets, places you shouldn't go, where the actual local car-based one tends to do better on where you should actually turn. But what it doesn't do as well is real-time traffic, or Google Maps does really good with accidents and avoidance. And so I keep Google Maps running all the time, anywhere I'm going, wherever I'm driving. It's been amazingly helpful to avoid detours, construction. Just get in the habit that if you're in your car, you put Google Maps up with your destination in, even if it's far away. Andy says what he likes to do is take pictures of the map. That's a good tip. In this case, I actually recommend paper maps. Why paper maps are really good. And in the US, you can get them at AAA. You can get these paper maps. So if you have to look for other routes and there's a detour, you can always pull these things out. But I think paper maps sometimes really help inspire you to stop at certain places. Whenever I get into a town, if I can pick up a local map, or if there are maps of the region or things like that, I always get them to find those random roadside attractions that you'd never see anywhere else. And then finally, when you're driving around, don't assume all roads are paved. Just because they show up on your map and you're looking at it to be I think I could go here, doesn't mean it's a road that's suitable for driving down. I've seen a lot of people as they're going between Los Angeles to Las Vegas. There's this area called the Cajon Pass, which is kind of like this S-curve that goes up this mountain, and it's notorious for getting backed up. And so then people look at their GPS map or Google Maps and go oh, well, there's this road on the side of the freeway that I can take to get around all that traffic. You know why nobody's driving on it? Because it's not paved, because it's dirt. And if you don't have a four-wheel drive car and you're in your rented Toyota Corolla, good luck to you, my friend. Good luck to you. It's funny, speaking of paper maps, the train hopper says I used the term landline with my 12-year-old students recently. They asked me what I was talking about. I'm not even 30 yet. What are you talking about? What is this landline thing you speak of? When we were in Santa Barbara recently, there's this courthouse in Santa Barbara that's considered one of the best public buildings in the USA, one of the most beautiful, and it has a really neat payphone in it that's in this kind of old wooden alcove that you can go in, with a door that closes. And now payphones are such relics that people take wedding pictures around the payphone. I mean, think about that. Would you know, when payphones were like legit 40 years ago, would anybody have taken a wedding picture in front of a payphone? But now they're nostalgic, so let's get our wedding picture in front of that payphone. All right. Tip number 8, the other thing you're going to want to download in addition to your maps is you're going to want to download some music or bring a musician with you, maybe. But if you want to listen to, your favorite playlist or this and that, don't assume you'll be able to have connectivity. Download them to your device so you can listen to them on the road. If you're, got people in the back seat and they're looking to watch movies on the go, I really like the iPad Mini as a great portable movie player. I talked through that in my live stream last week, all about how to survive a really long flight in economy. I have an iPad Mini. The princess here, she has an iPad Mini, and then OC Girl, she's got a iPad, so she's got a little bit of the bigger one. Tip number 9 to survive a long road trip is to bring a cell phone charger, because, you might be draining your battery and you might be plugged in, but you might not. You might find out that the car, particularly if you're renting one, only has one USB plug or one cigarette lighter, and so bring some batteries that you can use to charge your devices in the car as well. And these types of things, you can get them with more than one port. You can get these like battery chargers for like up to 4 ports, or cigarette lighters for the car that break out to 4 ports. So be creative if you got a lot of people that need to get their juice. All right, tip number 10 to help you survive a long road trip. I'm going to talk about packing now. So you're driving, and you can overpack when you're driving. You could totally overpack when you're driving. And while yes, people always say, well, I don't need to take everything because I can buy the stuff I need while I'm on the road. You can, but you know what? Stopping to buy more stuff all takes more time. Time that you got to go stop at Walmart, wherever you're going to stop at, that takes away from your destination or your drive. And so the way I generally consider packing is packing like one. So you can do suitcase. If I'm going on planes, then I'll be in suitcases, so I'll hit that case first. Pack a suitcase that has like all the stuff for the long trip in it, but then another smaller bag that's my like day case or my night case. And so if I'm doing a hotel every night, I'm not bringing the big case in every night. I'm bringing the small suitcase in every night. And then when I've got my stop that has like 2 nights or something, then I'll bring the big case in and like move the stuff out of the small case from the big case into it, and then stow that big case back in the car. If you're traveling from home, you know what, maybe you don't even need suitcases. You could use like tote boxes, the kind that you get from like Target or Walmart for like $10 that are plastic, and you can put a bunch of stuff in. Doesn't have to be a suitcase. Make sure you leave room either in your stuff or just in the car someplace for the souvenirs you're going to buy along the way. When we did our California Central Valley trip from Orange County all the way up to Sacramento in 5 days, we had a lot of almonds in our car. Oh, I had so many almonds. We were eating those almonds for like the next year. I was like, every town we went to, we like bought more almonds. And we're like, how many almonds do we have in this car? We had a lot of almonds in the car. We definitely brought back more almonds than we thought we were going to bring back. And olive oil, too. Really big in Central California. Also, just when you're packing, ensure there's a first aid kit somewhere in your car. Having a few Band-Aids and having, some antiseptic and things like that can be really important when you can be potentially far away from a pharmacy or a drugstore. Oh, and when we're talking about downloading videos, people say like, hey, I don't know how to download online, how to download offline, right? Particularly for YouTube, the way you can download YouTube videos is if you have YouTube Premium, which is the service that you pay a few bucks a month to YouTube so you don't have ads, then you can download videos from YouTube to your YouTube app on your phone. So if you spend a lot of time disconnected, I think it's pretty worth it. I have YouTube Premium. I've had it ever since they rolled it out. It is useful for that, and you don't have to watch any ads, so that's useful too. All right. Tip number 11 is to bring some beach towels and blankets. Why? Well, safety people always advise carrying a blanket with you in the event that something happens to your car, you get stuck, and you need to be warm. So that helps with that. It also helps for if you have a lot of like suitcases or things like that, and you want to cover them up so people can't see them. The beach towel works well. It doesn't look that strange. And well, somebody who's looking in your car will certainly see like there's a towel and probably know there's stuff underneath it. They don't know exactly what stuff is underneath it, and so it makes it a less appealing target for them than seeing the car that they know it's a bunch of suitcases. Bonus tip, you can also use your beach towel for a picnic in a pinch if you need to. Tip number 12 is to pack plenty of snacks and water. Snacks are just as necessary for the humans as fuel is for the car on a road trip. And I would say start with a bulk purchase at a big box store or your favorite grocery store. So take a case, take a 30 pack of water with you. Bring your favorite nuts. If you like things cold, bring a cooler. And you can fill it up with ice along the way. That's something we often do. I have a lot of different coolers to keep things cold, but I've got one that has wheels on the bottom, and like it has a handle that extends like a suitcase. And so on a road trip, I will keep that in the car, and every like 2 or 3 days, I will wheel it from the car into the hotel, fill it up with ice at the ice machine, and then bring it back into the car to just keep stuff cold the whole time we are on the trip. For your drink, consider having like a thermos or hydro flask or Yeti, one of these like cooling cups that can keep your drinks cold. I am amazed at how cold the Yeti cups that I have keep things. I can put an icy drink in there in a hot car that's like 150 degrees in the car, and my drink will stay cold all day in those things. They're really quite amazing. They'll stay hot too if you like your drinks as a hot coffee. The reason why I don't use these like thermos cups as much for hot drinks is I find the hot drinks never cool down. They're just like so hot. And I'm like, my tea never cools down. I need it to cool down. As the driver, I think it's a lot easier to have a straw cup. So if I've got bottles or things like that, I'll always pour them into my straw cup, because if you're driving, to use 2 hands to open that, it's just hard. Where if you have a straw cup, much easier. Bring some utensils if you're planning to get a lot to go or drive through in your car. Bring a trash bag so you can, as you generate trash, throw it into one bag, so then when you go to a gas station, it's easy to take out that trash. You don't have to be like rummaging through all these different places you've put trash. And as you're picking up more snacks and groceries along the way, I would say instead of stopping at gas stations where the food is unhealthy and expensive, plan to stop at grocery stores where it'll be cheaper and you can actually get some nutritious foods, fresh fruit, and things like that there. Tip number 13 is to also bring supplies to like clean yourself along the trip. Certainly, paper towels. We like wet wipes. As parents, these are really great, but even not as parents, we'll probably be keeping some wet wipes in our car just in the future. I mean, I guess we're going to be parents forever, but not parents of a 3-year-old forever that needs them for diapers. They're just really good if you've been eating chocolate and you need something wet or you need to wipe your face. Wet wipes work wonders in a pinch. If you're really going to remote areas, you might want to consider toilet paper. Like when we go to national parks or things like that, where we're going to be using a lot of public restrooms, sometimes out of toilet paper, so it's handy to have some with you. And somebody said, can I go to the bathroom in a bottle? Some people even travel with portable toilets. Not me, but you might consider whether that is you. For our 3-year-old daughter, we do have a small little portable potty that if we're going for a really long time, we'll bring with us. Because, sometimes a 3-year-old, when they need to go to the bathroom, they only give you a 5-minute warning. And so it can be handy to just have something at the ready. Art says, TP is life. I agree. TP is life. And Laura says, you can get Starbucks ice water and then use the ice for more water or another drink. That's a great tip, Laura. Generally, if I go to Starbucks, let's say I get an iced tea, because I'm a tea drinker, I will get the iced tea, and then I will ask for a secondary cup of ice. Like, can you just give me a cup full of ice? And they are absolutely happy to oblige. And Echo says, having toilet paper is a huge moral boost, because if you don't, it will ruin your entire day in that one moment. It will. Yeah, that's when your day is like, oh, I wish I had toilet paper. Vanessa also recommends Tide to-go sticks. That's a great tip. We use the Tide pen, I guess. Is there a difference between the Tide pen and a Tide to-go stick? Art says, am I a van lifer, Chris? Oh, no. We do not own a van that we can live in. It sounds cool. Like, I like the concept. But I would definitely need a van that has, like, I need something bigger. I probably need the RV that has, like, a toilet, if I'm doing that sort of thing. Yeah. Okay. Tip number 14 is to have a bag of change or small bills for tolls or on expenses along the way. I know a lot of people are really big on digital payments for everything. Toll booths often don't take your credit cards. And sometimes if you're in small towns, they don't take credit cards either, particularly for places that are off the grid. So it's useful to have some actual paper coinage money as you're traveling around. Tip number 15 is if you're traveling internationally, to not forget that you might need an international driving permit. This is a feature of some countries where if your driver's license is in a language different than the language that's spoken in that country, then you need to bring a thing that translates your license to that country. Japan is famous for this, that if you go to Japan, you can't just bring your license if it's not in Japanese, but you need to bring an international driving permit along with your license. If you are going someplace where it snows, tip number 16 is to bring your own ice scraper and a snow broom. An ice scraper would be to take the ice off your windows, and a snow broom would be to broom the snow off the roof and hood of your car. Tip number 17, a little more about scheduling. We talked through avoid driving at rush hour, but in particular, avoid driving in big cities during rush hour. This is Shibuya in Tokyo, where they do the Mario Kart go-kart racing along the streets there. And, plan your route out so you're not in the heart of cities during rush hour. That's going to suck the life out of you. Plan your drives in the day. Try to get to your destination by sunset. And 18 is to get your car checked or serviced before you go, and maybe get one that has a hood on it. As I was preparing for this video, I'm looking through all my photos, and I'm like, what are the ones that go well with all these different things? And so I thought this one went well with getting your car checked before you go. Make sure your tires are inflated, make sure you've got oil, all those things if you're not getting a rental car. All right. In our final 10 here, let's talk about some things to do when you're actually on the road to make it more comfortable when you're in the car. So tip number 19 to survive your long road trip is that sitting is the new smoking, and so how you sit really can affect how you feel. And so don't spend 8 hours in the car all slouched down. Try to sit up as tall as possible with the best posture that you can. If that means you need to bring a lumbar support or a little pillow for your back or something like that, do that so you can sit with a good posture. Tip number 20 as the driver is to use a hands-free cell phone mount. I really like this vent clip by IoTtie, IoTTIE. It's got two parts on it. It's got this little part here that you put into the air conditioning vent that you tighten down, and then it's got this other thing that's the actual phone clip that you put in it. It's nice because once you put that holster in there and you just tap your phone into it and it locks right in place. Pretty neat. I also have liked the ones that have like a bean bag and I can put them up on the dashboard. The ones I don't like are the suction cup mounts to the windshield, and actually those are not legal in many places. So get yourself a vent clip one or get yourself a sandbag one. Because so many times I'm like, I really hope I get a car that supports Android Auto or Apple Play, but then you get a car that doesn't, because it's from 1995, because you just got the last car that's available on the lot, and then it's really helpful to have your phone mounted right up there. Tip number 21 is to drive the speed limit. It's tempting when you're out in the middle of nowhere to go really fast, but it's not worth the ticket and the hassle. I've gotten one ticket on a road trip in Arizona. I was going way too fast past it as an Arizona Highway Patrol officer. I knew they were going to give me a ticket as soon as I passed them, and sure enough, they rolled up behind my yellow car. You know what I pulled you over for? I think I was going too fast. You were. I'll make that ticket really quickly. You'll be on your way in 5 minutes. Great. But I still had to do like 40 hours of online traffic school in Arizona. I don't live in Arizona, but I had to do 40 hours of online Arizona traffic school due to that speeding ticket. Points Traveler asked if I've been to a Buc-ee's. Yeah, I sure have. Buc-ee's, if you haven't been there, is an amazing like gas station. The big ones, like I think it's from Texas, but they have like 100 gas pumps or something like that. They are crazy. Oh, there's a channel. What's the name? Kara and Nate. They did like a video where they spent like 24 hours like living in a Buc-ee's parking lot or something like that. Something crazy. Cool stores. Okay. Tip number 22 is to fill up your gas frequently and empty yourself frequently too. Why did I put these together? Well, because gas stations often have the best bathrooms when you're on road trips. And so, like, think about these two things together. One, related to gassing up, is to gas up your car before it hits half a tank. Like, when it hits half a tank, that's the time you should gas up your car, not waiting till it gets to a quarter tank, because that's too low. Might be too long before you find the next gas station. So gas it up when you're at about half a tank. And then pick gas stations to go to that are the better ones that actually have good toilets. In the USA, truck stops often have some of the best and cleanest toilets. Buc-ee's in Texas has really great toilets. That's for the USA. If you're in other countries like Japan, you know, there are these like roadside rest stops that have really good toilets. They don't have gas stations, but in Japan, along the highways, they have these really great service centers that also have like gas stations and toilets. And so just kind of combine those together and stop regularly, because you never know when the next toilet's going to be. You also never know when the next gas station's going to be. So fill up frequently before you need it. And when you do that, clean your car frequently, inside and out. This is when we got one of our cars back, freshly detailed and freshly shiny. You know, gas stations, most of them have things where you can like wash the window. So clean your windows, clean on a regular basis, or, you know, run your car through a car wash. Even if it's a rental car, if you're on a long road trip and your car is filthy, you need to clean the darn thing. Don't forget the inside of the windshield is an area to clean too. I think it's something so many people forget about because I find them to often be so dirty. But if the sun's coming in through that windshield, it's just gonna, and it's not clean, it's gonna kind of have this like hazy thing to it. And so when I get a new rental car and I check into a hotel, then my first morning out of the hotel, I will take a hand towel from the bathroom into the car so that I can wipe the inside windshield of my rental car. Tip number 24 is to beware of how hot it can get in the summer in your car, particularly if it's parked out in the sun, particularly with your stuff in it. If you've got like toiletries, deodorant, things like that that can melt in the sun, because they really can, look for shady spots to park, parking garages. This is one that's really important in Las Vegas. Like if you're parking out in the sun in Las Vegas, your stuff's gonna melt. Same thing with your phone. You know, if you leave your phone on in your car in Vegas and then you go to the restaurant and you come back to your car, your phone will likely have overheated and turned itself off. And so it is really important to look for shady places to park. And if you can't find shady places to park, a sunshade can actually significantly reduce the temperature in your car. Don't underestimate the value of a sunshade. Tip number 25 is, in addition to taking potty breaks and gas breaks, to take exercise breaks. Your back will thank you later. You know, if you see like a scenic stop, there's a view, you know, get out, make that stop, get out of your car, just do a little bit of stretches, do a little bit of these, touch your toes, just move around and get those muscles moving. And by the way, this yellow bike, this is the yellow bike that I take the princess around when we go for our bike rides together. Since she's still a little too small to pedal on her own, yes, the bike is yellow. Tip number 26, if you're trying to sleep and you don't sleep easily in cars, you know, consider bringing an eye mask because, by the way, this isn't for the driver. Like, you don't drive when you sleep, but if you're a passenger or you're trying to sleep in your car, bring an eye mask so either street lights or sunlight isn't waking you up, and bring yourself a pillow, because if you're just trying to sleep on your seat, it's not as comfy as if you actually have a nice soft pillow. My brother-in-law, he is very good at sleeping in cars, and he swears by the neck pillow to keep his neck upright. Tip number 27 is to not just listen to your downloaded music, but to also listen to the local radio stations around you. Turning on your FM or AM radio, even if it's in a different language, gives you a really interesting flavor of the local destination. Is it country music? Is it Spanish music? Is it Japanese music? If you're driving around Korea, but you're listening to Tupac Shakur, you're not going to be as embedded in the place as if you're listening to the local music. And so do listen to that, at least for periods of time, to get that local flavor. And tip number 28 is, in addition to downloading your favorite podcasts and listening to your favorite music, consider downloading and saving some episodes here of Travel Tips by Chris, because these 1-hour live streams are super great to listen to in the car. Yeah, I got a bunch of pictures up here, but do you need to see them all? No, you can probably get a whole bunch of your content if you just listen to these two. I don't know about y'all, but I've taken on a lot of my drives now. I listen to a lot of content on YouTube, and YouTube Premium helps me do that as well. If I'm going to be in a spotty place, I download it, and then I can just go through and listen to that, because I got it in my cell phone mount. The video's up there too, but I'm not really watching the video. I'm mostly just listening to the audio.
Fellow explorers, it is now Q&A time. If you've got a question, I've got an answer.
Well, all right, fellow explorers, that is everything you need to know to survive your next road trip. It is now Q&A time. So what questions do you have about road trips? Or what tips do you have that I didn't hit before? Please let me know both those things in the comments, and we'll spend the next few minutes chatting right here. By the way, if you haven't noticed back here, I have a few new displays in this room. This monitor is the new, is that an interesting shape of this monitor? This is the new, and I need to route that cable better. This is the new, well, it's new to me. It's been out for about a year. The LG Dual Up monitor. It's actually like a square, so it's like two monitors stacked on top of each other. So I'm trying that out. I think it's kind of neat. When I'm editing videos, I can have my video edit over here, my preview window over here, and my file manager up here. So it just gives me some more screen real estate. Mousy Me says, what do you bring for the traveling princess to keep her occupied? 1, we bring snacks to keep her occupied. 2, we might bring some things for her to draw, because she can draw on a hard thing or a clipboard. 3, we bring the iPad mini, so she can play YouTube Kids. So if we're international and we don't have cell phone service, then we'll buy a Wi-Fi router, so that she can connect her iPad to that and play her cartoons. That was when we were in Japan, we got a pocket Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi router to keep her entertained with the cartoons in the car. Janelle Travels says, Chris, have you been to Mount Rushmore? Highly recommend. I have yet to go to Mount Rushmore, Janelle, but I would like to. Joe here says, what's the best rest stop you've been to? Coming up in a video in Japan, in the town of Ito. Amazing rest stop. Outside of that, in the U.S., probably the rest stops in Texas. The rest stops in Texas are pretty amazing, amazingly clean, so those are pretty neat. Justin says, as a Aussie, I'm confused about snow chains. I've got a road trip in Alaska next month. What do I need to know? So Justin, I'm not the Alaska travel expert, but I'm going to give you the California thing about snow chains, which is in California, and so I assume Alaska is going to be the same way. In California, there's different levels of okay, if you've got a 4-wheel drive, then you can drive here because it's snowing. If you don't have a 4-wheel drive, then you need snow chains. And then there's another level, which is it's so bad that you need a 4-wheel drive and snow chains. But by the time it's so bad that you need a 4-wheel drive and snow chains, you generally don't want to be driving anymore. So I really think you probably just need to look up the actual Alaska regulations and see if you can rent a 4-wheel drive car, if that can alleviate you of the snow chain requirements, because snow chains on a rental car are frankly a hassle. Kathy says, I've not booked a hotel in Osaka yet. What's your suggestion? I really like the Marriott in Osaka. If you search for Yellow Productions Osaka Marriott, you'll find my review of that one. That was pretty good. If you don't stay there, consider staying at a hotel either around Osaka Station or Shin Osaka Station. Those 2 stations, and then the station at the Marriott that I referenced around are kind of like the 3 major stations to get you around Osaka. Joe asked if I take hitchhikers. I've never picked up a hitchhiker, and I think I likely never will. The Road Let's Travel says, any experience with escape camper vans or similar rentals? I have not yet done a big camper van rental, things like that. I'd like to. I think it'd be fun. We haven't done it yet. The Road Let's Travel, have you? I'm guessing maybe you have, since it's the Road Let's Travel. And the comment there is, I would like to experience van life, but don't have a van. Michael says, what's your next road trip destination? That's a good question, Michael. We don't have our next road trip destination planned, but when I have one, we'll certainly be making a video all about it. Our next destination that we have planned is actually not a road trip, it's an ocean trip. We're going to be taking a Disney cruise out of San Diego to Ensenada, so we're looking forward to that. Jenny Fide says the Marriott. It's always been Marriott. I always pronounce it wrong. Marriott. Everybody pronounces it Marriott, except the company, Marriott. It is pronounced Mary, like you're marrying somebody, and then the word it. That's how you pronounce that hotel chain. And Jenny Fide says, I'll take a nice hotel room over van stay any day. Yeah, hotels are nice. Alex says, what's your favorite road trip? I do certainly remember my cross-country U.S. trips fondly. Like, it was neat to drive. So I drove from San Diego to Washington, D.C. along the Interstate 40, and then from Washington, D.C. back to San Diego a year later along the Interstate 70. And I really enjoyed both of those road trips. I did it in like 5 days. The first one I vlogged, and I vlogged the second one, come back too, but I never edited the videos. So if you want to see Chris in his yellow car that I showed you before, then you can like search for Yellow Productions DC road trip or something like that. They're like amazing 1,000 view videos. They're probably not great. I might be embarrassed by the production quality on those, but if you want to go back in time in the Yellow Productions time capsule, check those out. Kathy says, which Disney ship will you be on? It's either like the Wonder or the Magic. It is one of the 2 early, like, first cruise ships. So like the oldest in the thing, it's like the smallest of the Disney cruises. Those are just the 2 that go out of San Diego, but we figure we don't have to fly, so then it makes it relatively inexpensive for us to do it. Jonathan says recommendations for a 12-hour drive. That's a long drive, Jonathan. I don't know. Break it up into 2. I guess my recommendation for you would be, if you're doing it by yourself, to have all your snacks and drinks and things like that, like handy in the seat right next to you, so that you don't have to be rifled in the back. Start as close to if I got a 12-hour drive, because again, I like to drive in the day, I would probably try to start my drive as close to sunrise as possible, maybe even 30 minutes before sunrise, just to make sure I get as much daytime driving as possible. And Kathy says we're going on the Wonder in November. Very cool. I wonder how you'll enjoy it. Alex says, I remember those videos. And Brandon says those are classic Yellow Productions videos. Indeed, they are.
Yes, it's the time you've been waiting for. It's time for the giveaway.
All right, fellow explorers, as usual in my live streams, I give away a Yellow Productions crew shirt if you can answer one of my questions about something I talked about earlier today. And in this video, I showed when I talked about tolls and money, there were some $20 bills and there were some coins that were on that picture. What kind of coins were those? And if you can tell me what coins those were, what denomination they were, and what type of coin they were, then you will win a Yellow Productions Crew shirt that I will ship to you anywhere in the world. And if you don't win a Yellow Productions shirt, but you want to pick one up, you can head over to the Yellow Productions shop, and you can buy one right over there for you or a friend. And if you wonder, Chris, when is the next live stream? And by the way, next week, I'm thinking it might be on Monday, but I haven't decided yet, but I think it'll be a day early on Monday. You can head over to the Yellow Productions update and sign up for my email list, where I email you every time I have a new video and every time I've scheduled a live stream. Okay, so let's look in the chat and see if anybody has the right answer. Justin says, that is a tough question this week. I know, it's a tough question, but you know, if it was easy, would it be that great? You know, usually it's something I say as opposed to something I show. And Mousy Me says, I am going to sign up. Okay, well, because nobody has the right answer yet, I'm going to go ahead and put the picture up here of what the coins are. I'll even make them bigger so you can see it more as you look at these a bit. And we're still open for the right answer. Now, as you're thinking about those right answers, something I want to get your opinion of, for those of you who are left here at the end. You guys are like the, on the Colin and Samir channel, which is a channel where they talk about like creators. They say like, you're in the deep end now, like the deep end of the pool. So, my daughter's YouTube channel, when I launched it, naming of her channel. So I used to call her the Traveling Princess. Turns out there's an actual princess that trademarked the name Traveling Princess. So then when we created her channel, we called it the Spunky Princess, because spunky in American English means bold and courageous. But apparently in British English, it means something else. And so I've gotten a lot of feedback from all y'all. Chris, I wish you changed the channel name. So at this point, I am considering the Princess of Play as a change for a channel name. But if you have other suggestions, she could certainly be the Prince of Travel on Yellow Productions. I could refer to her one way here and a different way on her channel. But if you have other thoughts as to what our princess's channel name should be, knowing that I'm going to change it from Spunky because there's just so many people that don't like that, knowing that I didn't even know how you all in the UK use that word, but it's not the way we use it here. Okay. Did anybody get the right answer now? I think so.
And now we have a winner chicken dinner.
All right. Congratulations to Lisa Lee. You are the first person to give the correct answer. Those coins were indeed dollar coins. In particular, they were golden dollar coins, but yes, those are US dollar coins. So Lisa, send me an email to chris@yellow-productions.com and I will send you that shirt anywhere in the world. And so I just wanted to hit up some of the answers that y'all shared on what you think the channel name should be for our daughter. So let's get rid of that and we'll go through these. Jenny Fide says Princess Travels. Electric Rick, my dad says the Playful Princess. Janelle Travels says OC Princess. Kathy says I like Princess of Play. Mousy Me says OC Traveling Princess. And there we go. So if you're watching the archive and you made it here to the deep end, then let me know your suggestions as well, and or let them, if you like, if you watch this and you came back and you're like, Chris, I've got it now, come back to the archive of this video where I'll look for other thoughts on that channel name. And then to conclude, Kathy says, I didn't know the U.S. had dollar coins. The U.S. has dollar coins. They just are like not in circulation enough, but they totally do exist. So yeah, that was an interesting, interesting trivia to go along with that too. Other thoughts for the princess channel name, Zydeco Princess. OC Traveling Princess, OC Princess is cute, Princess of Yellow, OC Princess, and then Janelle says, thank you for another great live stream. Well, thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me for this hour. In particular, thank you to everybody who made it here to the deep end of this video. If you haven't had a chance to give this video a thumbs up on your way out, I'd really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the YouTube algorithm. As usual, I won't say goodbye because I'm going to see you in the next video, next live stream, probably Monday of next week. All right, see you then.